Chris Rock was well known for being a successful comedian, but for the last year, he has earned himself quite a name after he got slapped in the face by Will Smith. Now, a year has passed and celebrities have picked their sides in this feud. Which famous celebrities came forward in their support for Will Smith? Let's find out. Will Smith slapped Chris Rock after he publicly humiliated his wife, and for a year, Rock remained completely silent. Just when everyone thought he was going to be mature and remain silent about the matter, he came up with a whole Netflix special about the matter. And he is not holding back at all in coming for Will or Jada.
Practices selective outrage. Because everybody knows what the fuck happened. Everybody that really knows.
He stooped so low as to bring up Jada's affair on his special, and it looks like he isn't gonna stop anytime soon. Will Smith is hurt once again by Chris Rock's attacks on his family.
Now, a source tells ET, Will is embarrassed and hurt by what the comedian said about him and his family.
Years and years of attacking Jada had led to this very public and shameful meltdown by Will, and even though he has tried to smooth things over with Chris, he continues to attack and villainize Will.
Adds that Will has worked on himself and wants Chris to move on so that he and everyone else can too.
People are finally realizing the bullying that Will and Jada have been going through at the hands of Chris for years now, and they are finally standing up against it. TMZ host Harvey Levin talks about this sudden change in people's opinion and sympathies. Turns out Will Smith isn't the only one Chris has targeted with his offensive jokes. In his special, he made a rather unsavory joke about Michael Jackson as well. Chris was talking about selective outrage and how Will Smith shows outrage only occasionally just to suit himself. He then said, "The thing I have a problem with is the selective outrage. You know what I'm talking about. One person does something, they get cancelled. Somebody else does the exact same thing, nothing." He then went on to give a rather controversial example of selective outrage featuring none other than the legendary Michael Jackson, and you will not believe who he compared Jackson to. R. Kelly. He said, "You know what I'm talking about, like the kind of people that play Michael Jackson songs, but won't play R. Kelly. Same crime, one of them just got better songs." This rightfully infuriated Michael Jackson's family, and his nephew took to Twitter to express his anger towards the comedian. Taj Jackson was furious at the repeated disrespect and said, "Chris Rock has used my family as punching bags for his entire career. Yet I am supposed to feel bad for him getting slapped and humiliated on the Oscars." Taj says his family has had to suffer abuse at the hands of Chris for years now. He asked Chris in his tweet, "What did my family ever do to you to warrant these decades of harassment and your constant bullying disguised as jokes?" It's clear that the family has been hurting over these heartless jokes about the late musician. Taj thinks this is just a manifestation of Chris's own issues. Maybe Chris was bullied in childhood and these unresolved issues have led to him bullying people for no reason in the guise of jokes. Just because you were bullied early on in life doesn't give you the excuse to bully others now. In the end, Taj wrote, "Thank you, Will Smith." It's obvious that Taj thinks the Oscar slap was well-deserved for all the unwarranted jokes and disrespect Chris has been saying. These jokes about Michael Jackson are extremely offensive because R. Kelly has been found guilty of 6 counts of child pornography and sexual abuse. He's currently serving a 31-year prison sentence for his crimes. While Michael has also been accused of child sexual abuse allegations in his career, these allegations never got proven. In fact, in 2005, he was found not guilty of molesting a teenage boy at his Neverland ranch. So why does Chris continue to joke about such a serious issue? Looks like he really needed to be put in his place. A journalist, Candace McDuffie, wrote a column on the Chris and Will fiasco and had a rather interesting take on the whole incident. She wrote, "All we have to say is we told y'all Chris has a problem with black women." He finally talked about life since being hit by Smith, though his latest jokes were all about Smith's wife, who he said was no victim. Candace says even in this special, Chris put all the blame for all of the problems on Jada Smith. Candace straight up said Chris Rock deserved to be slapped, and she wasn't afraid to justify her statement. She later said, "It's not so much about being slapped as much as it is about accountability, right? He has made black women specifically the butt of his jokes for years, and he's finally being held accountable. So I feel like this kind of sets a precedent. You know, going forward, hopefully, that people will be more careful about how they treat and discuss, black women." Candace thinks a lot of people focused entirely on Will's reaction and not Chris's actions over the years that caused this outburst. She said, "I think in the literal sense it seems like a bit much, but honestly, sitting here, calling Jada out of her name, making fun of her hair condition and talking about her alopecia, words can be violent as well. And as we've seen black girls and women, we suffer abuse at higher rates in this country. So continuing to humiliate us only perpetuates this." The writer says black women and other marginalized people have always been used as comedic fodder in America America, and it leads to more violence against the minorities. Chris joked in his special that his mother taught him never to fight in front of white people. Candace says this joke was problematic in its own way. You're telling me that black people can't fight in front of white people, but you can humiliate black people in front of white people. Will's close friends and co-stars also stood by the actor during this time. Will's old friend Tyler Perry says he made sure the actor was okay during all this. There's a difference between comforting and de-escalating. That's number one, Perry told King. And I left early to get to Chris to make sure he was okay. Being friends with both of them has been very difficult. Actress and director Sophia Bush also spoke up in support of Will Smith, but she also clarified that nothing condones the use of violence. She said, "Violence isn't okay. Assault is never the answer." This is the second time that Chris has made fun of Jada on the Oscars stage, and tonight he went after her alopecia. Punching down at someone's autoimmune disease is wrong. Doing so on purpose is cruel. They both need a breather. Will and Jada's son, Jaden Smith, has also shown support for his father openly. Right on the day of the Oscar slap, Jaden wrote on his Twitter account, "And that's how we do it." After Chris's special, Jaden has again shown support for his dad. He posted a gif of Martin Lawrence sarcastically laughing, which people assume is his response to Chris's repeated disrespect. Jaden does not find it funny that his family has once again become the butt of Chris's jokes, and honestly, we can't blame him. After all, the Oscars wasn't the first time Chris has come after Jada Smith. He brought her up in the 2016 Oscars as well and disrespected her because she spoke up against the discrimination against black actors. Whenever Chris's problem with Jada is, it has been going on for too long. After repeatedly poking fun at Jada, he really can't be surprised at Will's reaction. People are also speaking up in support of Will Smith and the fact that Chris is now trying to act like the victim, while still harassing Will and Jada. One person wrote, "Chris Rock said you don't fight in front of white people, but had no issue calling a black woman a bitch in front of white people, negatively commenting on black women's hair in front of white people, or letting white people use the N-word around him." Another fan tweeted, "Chris Rock is such a You used an onstage moment to take a jab at a woman you have an offstage grudge against, got the shit slapped out of you, and now are using white people's clutching of pearls to paint yourself as a victim while continuing your tirade." That's it for today, folks. Until next time, goodbye.